The other night I was looking up information about wolves. I hadn't realised how big they were. When I was a child, I remember seeing them in a zoo enclosure, and at that time thinking how big they were. But then I thought that maybe they looked bigger than they were because they were high up on a rocky platform. Wolves are bigger than most large domestic dogs. The timber wolf is bigger than your average grey wolf, but it's not as big as an Irish wolfhound, which was bred for hunting wolves, and it's not as big as a Great Dane. And there might be a few other breeds of dog that are bigger. But it turns out that one-on-one, let's say with a timber wolf, very, very few dogs would have a chance, because the wolf is bigger and it's heavier and its bones are denser. Plus it has a killer instinct that domesticated dogs tend not to have. So I was looking up the types of dogs that could possibly defeat a wolf, a timber wolf. And I think I only got 3 types. One was a Kangal. That's a dog from Turkey that was bred for protecting livestock from wolves. It said the Kangal might have a chance one-on-one with a wolf, a timber wolf, but it would be unlikely, even if the Kangal killed the wolf, it would be unlikely that the Kangal would survive. Another dog was a Caucasian Shepherd, I do believe, from Georgia, Armenia, that area. Said it might have a chance. And the other one was the Tibetan Mastiff, which is a huge dog, very heavy. Its advantage is that it has very, very thick fur, and it would be difficult for the wolf to grapple with the Tibetan Mastiff's fur. Another disadvantage the dogs have in general is that their bite force is much weaker than that of a wolf. A Rottweiler's bite force is only half, or maybe even less than half, of what a wolf's would be. And again, it gets back to, the wild streak of a wolf, its instinct. And dogs, no matter how little domesticated they are, that little domestication ensures that they lose in a one-on-one with a wolf, because they tend not to keep going till the job is done. They'll fight for so long and then they'll say, that's enough. But the wolf, in a fight, it's a fight to the death in general. I was also curious as to know why wolves, we don't hear of them really attacking humans or hunting humans. Now, maybe you've come across some stories in fiction, the Call of the Wild, Whitefang and all that, but generally you don't hear about it, and that's because man is the apex predator when compared to the wolf. And the wolves that would have hunted men, they ended up being killed. They had less of a chance of passing on their... Just killed a mosquito there. of passing on their genes, because they were stupid. They took on man, and more times than not they got slaughtered. So the wolves that have survived today have survived because if they smell a human being, they tend to go in the opposite direction of that scent. They will avoid man as much as possible. Even if there are wolves in an area populated by men, it's possible that men will, they could live for many years and never see a wolf. So wolves tend not to trust animals that are standing on two legs, and also like a bear. When a bear is threatened, it stands up on two legs. But yeah, there you go. And the wolves that do attack people, the accounts of that, they seem to be wolves that were in captivity for a while, and they got used to man.